I may or may not choreograph. That's good. So, let's see. I have a firewall. Why am I still getting a virus or spyware or malware bites? Part 2. We had this conversation and I explained what happens in communication and why a firewall is necessary, but also is spyware and antivirus. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with part 2, which is what does the firewall actually do? And the firewall is very simple. I'll break it down into as English as we can understand. Your firewall would be considered a doorman at a club. When you have a club, you can invite as many people in as you want. Everybody knows the club is there. They try to come in. The doorman has a list. If you're not on the list, you do not get in. The owner can specify who comes in. Once that's been specified, he checks. Nope, sorry, you can't come in. That's it. Bottom line. That's the basics of a firewall. Now, every individual that wants to come in the technology world is what they call a language, a protocol, a number. So when we deal with it, let's say we're in PowerCore right here. This is our room. Each one of us is a name, but we're also a number. Kevin's the doorman. If I say, Kevin, do not let number 23 in this room, whoever happens to be number 23 does not get in. So if we want to talk to somebody, we have to open a lot of doors to allow communication to come in through a firewall. How do we communicate right now with our computers? Email, websites, chat, WebEx, whatever. So there's a lot of communication that we have to have open, and not anybody wants to spend time figuring out how does everything talk and go through the minute details of every door that needs to be closed so things get in. But we do a pretty good job in general. How does that relate to a virus and spyware? Well, it's simple. Let's say I decide in my club no one can have a cell phone. You can come in, but no cell phones are allowed. Now, when you get in, you can use the phones that are here. We can talk all we want because we love each other. We're family. We can talk all we want. But we in here cannot communicate without there. So the doorman is here. He lets you in. He checks. No cell phones. Come on in. Well, I'm on my way back to my own place. I happen to see a box. The box is wrapped in gold. Nice leaflets, everything. Big bow. Beautiful. Christmas looking. I say to myself, that's got to be safe. I pick up the box. I go to my front door, my doorman, I say, hey, how you doing? He goes, hey, Jeff, come on in. Wait, what's that? It's a box. Oh, okay, go on in. The doorman does exactly what he's told. He will not let a cell phone in. But he is not an investigator. He is not anything more than looking at, is it a phone? It is not a phone, go. I get in, I walk into my desk, put it down, I open it up, guess what it is? It's a cell phone. I have introduced the very environment that's not allowed in this room by bypassing the doorman and telling him it's good. He trusts me. That's how our viruses and our spyware get in. We click on a link, we accept something that has come into our presence, and we walk it in the door. So what's the difference between a virus and a malware and spyware and all these wares that we hear? There's so many of them. Well, virus is kind of an old school term. It's when they didn't have anything else before, so everything was considered a virus. But what a virus actually does is once it's introduced into an environment, Nancy will not get whatever it is I have introduced until I physically give it to her. Like a virus, we have to come in contact. If I have a file, I hand her the file, she accepts the file, now she has the virus. That's how she gets it, and that's how it goes to the next person. It has to be given and received. However, we've heard of another term called a worm. As people say, well, what's a worm? A worm does not have to be given or received. If I introduce that, it will find her all by itself. It will find its way to another machine and infect it. It will just worm. It will slither and go and get to all the machines on its own. We don't have to do anything to create whatever the environment is to make it worse. Now, viruses and worms tend to be very destructive. The idea is they replicate and they duplicate themselves within the machines. And then they will delete and ruin and damage, and now we have machines that don't work properly. They all fall under the category of malware. Malware is very simply malicious software. They put the two words together. Malicious software is malware. The most important malware that's out there that affects just about everybody is spyware. That's what we hear about the most. The reason it's so effective is generally spyware does not do anything noticeable because its intent is to gather information, is to access data it shouldn't have. Well, believe me, if I want to know everything about Nancy, I'm not going to injure her first. I'm going to become her friend. I'm going to go with her. I'm going to follow her. I'm going to spy on her until I've learned, yes, that's right, until I've learned everything I possibly can know that I need to know about Nancy. It's very simple as that. Now, a firewall cannot block that because I've introduced it. The communication is already inside my network and it's already doing everything it has to do. When we have our antivirus software, the antivirus is specifically that. It stops communications that firewalls can't stop. But most antivirus cannot stop the programs that are running inside of malware, the worms and the rootkits and all those other things. That's why we have to have additional software called malware bytes or adware or those other things that we've heard of. That will take care of and work on those other things that we introduce and allow to flow through and spy on and all those things. And that's how we protect our network. It is important to have more than one tool because everything accesses in multiple ways to get in our networks. So if you guys want more information on any of those details, and we can keep it very casual and human, let's do coffee, let's do lunch, and I have no problem explaining and talking and even maybe spending time in your network assessing how your protection is. Got PC problems and don't know what to do? Call 770-849-BLUE.